It's about time with Rashawn's About Time Boxing, aka Mr. Trill 100 Mil. What's up to my About Time Boxing family and the Trill 100 Mil gang? I can't say this enough. Thank you. Thank you to every single one of y'all who has subscribed to the channel. Thank you to every single one of y'all who has been, leaving and giving me the encouraging comments, letting me know that y'all appreciate what I'm doing. Listen, I appreciate y'all even more. I thank y'all for taking out the time to watch the videos, like the videos, share the videos, and leave the comments. Man, listen, without y'all, like I said before, there's no About Time Boxing family or no Trill 100 Mil gang. Y'all make that possible. If you have not already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Encourage others to subscribe to the channel. Pass the word about Rashawn's About Time Boxing. Become part of the About Time Boxing family in the Trill 100 Mil gang. CANELO ALVEREZ, Caleb Plant. All right. Weigh-in is done. So now it's time to put up or shut up on both sides. But again, I want to reiterate, people just underestimating Caleb Plant. And like I said before, Caleb Plant is not being underestimated because, he's not being underestimated because he's not a good fighter. He's being underestimated because of Canelo's popularity. But this is not a popularity contest. This is a fight. And we know that Canelo has the bigger names. We know that Canelo has, the resume, having the most experience. He has the better experiences between the two based on his resume and people that he fought. Now, you still have people who still underestimating Caleb Plant. He's being underestimated not because of his ability, but because of Canelo's accomplishments. So on paper, when you look at Canelo's resume and you look at Caleb Plant's resume, of course, people are going to automatically go, with the one who accomplished more. Because it would seem like, their ring IQ was higher, they had the, more fights, better experiences, and things of that nature. However, I don't think, and before I say this, I know a lot of y'all that's Canelo fans is gonna look at it like, oh, you hating on Canelo. Ever since this fight was made, and I made comments about it the first time they were supposed to fight, and all of the ridiculous things that Canelo put in there, people was calling me a racist and all this other stuff. Like, in case y'all didn't know, Caleb Plant is white. But my thing is, I don't have nothing. Like I said, if the fighter is good, I don't care what color you look like. I don't care what planet you from. If you're good, like you or not, you're gonna get your credit. Here, Rashawn's About Time Boxing, we're gonna get a credit where the credit is due. Canelo is he's a great fighter. He is. No question about it. But again, you fooling yourself if you look at Caleb Plant and you don't think that this guy had a skill set and the tools to be great. How can you look at him and look at his skill and say, oh, he don't have it? And everybody want to talk about, oh, well, Caleb Plant ain't fight nobody. That's why, it's funny how before he became the champion, it was, oh, this kid is not going to be able to do this. He ain't going to be able to do that. But then when he won the title, all of a sudden the guy he was fighting for the title was a bum. But nobody said that when Canelo was stretching everybody. Every time Canelo knocked somebody out, everybody was like, man, that Canelo dude. They didn't care who he was in the ring with. And this is the truth. Y'all can go back and check the history for yourself if y'all don't believe me. So please don't leave no stupid ass comments or no racist remarks and all that stuff talking about somebody hating and all that stuff like that. No, I'm speaking the facts based on research that I have done. And people know that when Canelo became the guy, and it wasn't until after he lost to Floyd, and then Floyd went on to fight his fights and retired, then Canelo became the guy. He was the man. He still is the man in boxing. Ain't no question about it. No question about it. And again, people bring up the juicing thing. We're not even talking about that, because with or without it, it does not change his skill set. Juicing does not make you a great fighter. You can juice all you want. Anybody, I don't care who you are. If it's not in you and you just don't have the skill set, you just don't have the skill set. Okay? So, I mean, you're talking about somebody who's been fighting professionally since they was like 15 to 16 years old. Canelo. Alright, so, but people don't realize that in order to get a fight with Canelo, it's this type of sacrifices that a lot of people got to make. It's not like, alright, you know, the fight is made, they sign a contract, that's it. It got to be a term sheet. And then when you get the term sheet, you know it's going to be a whole lot of stuff in the term sheet. And when you fighting Canelo, ask Daniel Jacobs, ask Golovkin and all these other people. When Daniel Jacobs fought Canelo Alvarez, Canelo, see, this is the thing. Canelo put catch weight clause, rehydration clause, and all different types of things like that. He tries to gain an advantage, you know, before the fight even happens in the ring in any way, shape, or form that he can. That's strategic. That's smart. If you can do it and your opponent will allow you to get away with it, that's strategic. I get that. But it's not like, okay, the fight is just made and all this stuff. See, I always said this. Some fighters will always put outrageous demands or make some outlandish stuff, you know, terms, if they're trying to get out of fighting somebody who they know they really should fight, but they don't really want to go in that direction. So they put all this crazy stuff in there and say, well, once he read the term sheet, he's not going to agree to that. They're going to back out of the fight. But Caleb Plant told Canelo, you can have everything you want. You want the Mexican TV, endorsement rights and all, you can have that. You want the Hennessy endorsement, you can have that. You want the pay-per-view upside, you can have that. You want the money off the live gate and you know, the pay-per-view, the upside, all that, you can have all that. But Caleb Plant drew the line when Canelo said, if Caleb Plant gets hurt, I get to pick an opponent of my choice, still get the same amount of money and everything else that I asked for. But if I get hurt, Caleb Plant can't fight nobody else. He has to wait for me to get better, gotta wait for me to heal up, or whatever the situation is. He gotta wait for me. He can't go on and do that stuff. And that's when Caleb Plant said, forget about it. And then it became the thing about the VADA testing. Canelo wanted, I think, 4 weeks or something like that. Caleb Plant wanted to do the whole 12 weeks. Canelo was like, man, I'm not getting drug tested for the whole 12 weeks. So he agreed to 10 weeks. And y'all can go back and research what Victor Conte said about people that's on performance enhancers. They can stop juicing a certain amount of time before a fight. And even if they stop juicing a certain amount of time before the fight, it can leave their system to where as though they blood and stuff, urine won't test positive for it, but their body will still reap the benefit from it. Their body will still be able to perform as if they are still on it. But Canelo put, like, for the weigh-in, I don't know how many of y'all may have seen Canelo Alvarez Caleb Plant weigh-in. Now, for all other super middleweight fights, you know, the weight is 168. But usually, you know, you can come in, you know, 168 and a half, you know, maybe 169, you know, anything over 168 is, you know, up to 175 is super middleweight. Light heavyweight is 175, right? And we see, you know, when other middleweights weighed in, it may have been a little over 168, this, that, and the third, but for Canelo fight, it was exactly 168. Caleb Plant came in weighed in at 167. Now, what would have happened if Caleb Plant would have came in at 168 and a half or 169? Then he would have had to get that weight off right before the fight. When you already go through that dry out, you got to go through that You know, I guess it varies for different fighters or however the fight is. Some fighters go through a 24-hour dry out period. Can't eat or drink nothing for 24 hours, you know, or whatever the case is. Or depending on whatever the stipulations are or the term sheet. If you know boxing, you know what I'm saying is correct. It's right. Because Daniel Jacobs, the weight was 168, right? But he could not rehydrate over a certain amount of weight. Because Canelo didn't want him coming in there heavier than him or bigger than him. He didn't want that. So if it's a rehydration clause in the contract, and let's say the rehydration is he can't come in no heavier than 170 and he making 168. So that means that he will probably have to get on the scale and be 166, 165 or something like that. Just so that he won't rehydrate over that and get violated for that. But these are different types of things that Canelo put in his contract, trying to gain the advantage before the fight even takes place in the ring. And again, like I said, I'm not saying this to say that I'm against, you know, I'm mad at him for that, and it has nothing to do with it. I'm just saying, like, there's all different types of strategic plays that a lot of fighters put in there. Like, he tried to do that. Canelo tried to do that when he fought Floyd, but the only difference was it played into Floyd's advantage. It played up to Floyd's advantage and not Canelo's. And then they tried to change that at the last minute, like, oh nah. Floyd was like, nah, Leonard Ellerby. They said, nah, this is what you wanted. So we got you on that. We got you on that. We gonna know this is what the term sheet gonna say. This is what you asked for. Nah, this is what's gonna be in it. And y'all can go back and look that up too. But I'm just saying, you know, it's crazy that, and even for those of y'all that don't want to admit it, that a lot of y'all are picking Canelo because of his popularity. And again, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying this has nothing to do with his skill set or his accomplishments or his multiple division title reigns, his spectacular knockouts and stoppages. It has nothing to do with that. I'm just saying that a lot of people hop on bandwagons and they start picking people because of their popularity. And you just completely dismiss the other fighter. Now, is that right? If you call yourself like really trying to, you know, be 50-50, trying to split it down the middle? No. A lot of people scoffing and laughing because they like, man, Canelo going to destroy this kid. He going to knock Caleb Plant out. And this is the thing. Watching Canelo train. Canelo is training for a knockout. I'm not saying that Canelo can't go the distance because he proved that he can on numerous occasions. And so can Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant trains for the distance. If the knockout comes, he'll try to seize it. But Canelo is training to knock him out. He wants to knock out Caleb Plant. He wants to stop him. He do, and he made that clear. Even at the weigh-in, when Jim Gray asked him, what was you saying to him? He said, I tell him he's going to feel something different. You're going to see. They're going to feel something different. But, you know, people acting like Caleb Plant is not supposed to have that type of confidence. As almost if to say that, like, oh, Caleb Plant, he deceiving himself. Why? Because he's confident? If you're not confident as a fighter, then why are you in the sport? Why are you fighting? So how can y'all be mad at Caleb Plant because he's confident in his skill? And he's saying, y'all gonna find out. Y'all gonna find out. If he don't believe that he's capable of winning, obviously none of y'all are really giving him the, you know, giving him the nod or the like, yeah, I think he can do it. It's only a few people that's saying it. But I said it before, this fight is going to be a really good fight. This fight is going to be better than y'all think. And yes, I picked Caleb Plant to win. Yep. And y'all can go ahead and leave the comments and tell me I'm crazy. Man, you tripping. What type of drugs you on? Hey, Caleb Plant gonna beat Canelo? What? Ha? Okay. I picked Caleb Plant to win. But like I said too, in order for Caleb Plant to win, he's definitely gonna have to be on top. He's gonna have to be on top, and he's gonna have to be on top of that top of his game. That's how good Canelo really is. And Caleb Plant has the skill set to be great too. He's definitely a future Hall of Famer. Y'all say what y'all want. Like, well, what you talking about? Caleb Plant is a future Hall of Famer. Believe it. Believe it. He has fast hands. He has good combinations. He has flaws just like Canelo has flaws. Canelo sometimes get gassed like midway through the fight or like in the later rounds. Sometimes he can, depending on who he fighting. Caleb Plant can't take no unnecessary shots. He can't lay in the ropes and let Canelo get off, because if he lay in the ropes, let Canelo get off, Canelo gonna try to put him out, and Canelo gonna get to that body. But Caleb Plant he cannot be scared to tie up Canelo when necessary. If you have to get reset, and if that means you got to tie him up to get reset, you can't be worried about what nobody thinking about you. Who cares? You see Floyd do it. Floyd did it all the time. If he need to get reset, he get off what he can get off or whatever, tie you right on up, let the referee break y'all apart. I'm a huge Miguel Cotto fan. I love Miguel Cotto. But you know one of the mistakes Miguel Cotto used to make back then? When he would get in trouble, instead of tying up his opponents, he would still try to trade with them. And I should be like, why is he just not tying them up when he need to? Tie them up when they start firing back. And that's why I think he took a lot of unnecessary punishment in some of his fights that he didn't have to take, because he didn't think to tie him up. You know, yeah, you can have that warrior spirit, but boxing is a thinking man's game. It's about you being able to outthink your opponent. People want to see the toe-to-toe, and this is the crazy part. First people say like, no, they want to see gritty toe-to-toe, this, that, and the third. But then when they don't do that, and either one or some fighter that they like get knocked out because they did that, then they gonna be like, man, why was he trading? He should have been smarter than that. He should have been tying him up, or he should have been boxing, you know, like he usually do. Why he ain't tying? There's nothing wrong with tying up a fighter if you feel like you in trouble, or if you need to get reset, or if you feel confused about something. That's strategic. That's smart. But for a lot of y'all to just completely dismiss Caleb Plant is sad. He's going to give a much more stronger and better account of himself in that fight than a lot of y'all giving him credit for. Watch. I'm telling y'all. Canelo want that knockout. Caleb want to go the distance. They even questioned Caleb Plant about, what if it go 12 rounds and, you know, you really did, you know, you look good winning this, that, and the third, and they still get a fight to him. Caleb Plant said he felt like that the right people was put in place so that he don't get robbed if it goes 12 rounds. So if it go 12 rounds and they give it to Canelo, Caleb Plant said, basically, I don't have no excuses. If he beat me, he'd have beat me fair and square. So, like I said, this fight is going to be a really, really interesting fight. Chess match. Explosive at times. You're going to be able to see, you know, the strategic thinking from both fighters at, you know, at times in the fight. Now, Canelo is going to have to press the attack. If he going, if he want to knock him out, the knockout is not going to happen in the middle of the ring. I don't see that. If he gets the knockout, but that's what he wants. Canelo don't want this fight to go 12 rounds. So he said he was going to stop him inside 8 rounds. So we're going to see if that happens. But like I said, I believe that Caleb Plant is going to give a great showing an account of himself and what he's really made of. So I know a lot of y'all got Canelo already winning. A lot of y'all got Canelo winning by knockout. But like I said, this is not a popularity contest. This is a fight, a boxing match. And popularity don't win fights. The better fighter, the skills of the fighter, of the better man, wins. So like I said, if you picking Canelo because he's more popular, because a lot of people didn't even really hear Canelo until he fought Floyd. Then all of a sudden it was like, who's this Canelo? A lot of people didn't even know what Canelo meant. Some people really thought that was his first name. He didn't know his first name was Saul. So that's how people be jumping on the bandwagon and all that kind of stuff. But Caleb Plant, his name fits him. Sweet hands. He got good hands. He do. I mean, let's just try not to be so one-sided. Just give credit where the credit is due. But for those of y'all that got Canelo winning by knockout, fight time is here. So for both fighters, now is the time. Now is the time to put up or shut up. So let's see what happened on that night.